All right, Jeremy, how you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. How are you, buddy?
I'm as good as I guess I can be, but I'm actually really glad that you were good to do this today because um, you're one of the first people that I put on my list. So, but I know you've been swamped, so I really appreciate you taking the time. So Jeremy Netzel, CFO of At Properties, someone I met last year, and we become really good friends. Um, if you want to, like, I was confused when I first heard of At Properties. I see your logo everywhere, hear about you everywhere. But if you want to give a quick, brief description on At Properties and what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we, of course, love to hear that when people see us everywhere. That's what I want to hear. So At Properties is a residential real estate brokerage. The company was founded in 2000, so it's a relatively newer company for our industry. And we have around 3,000 real estate agents in total around the US. So we're primarily focused in the Midwest. And then we also have some presence down in the Southeast. And so our bread and butter is really those agents who represent buyers, sellers, tenants, and landlords every day, in doing real estate transactions. So we have about 300 employees who support that business throughout, again, mostly the Chicagoland area. And so that's what our business is. And so you'll see our signs hopefully in a lot of yards and outside a lot of apartment buildings.
Yeah, I see you guys' signs more than I see anybody else's. And the timing is good because a couple of weeks ago, I had Brad and Tony from CBRE come and talk about commercial real estate. So from the CFO's perspective, what's going on in the real estate market right now for residential for at?
Yeah, and I think it came up in the CBRE conversation, but real estate was named one of the essential services. And that is consistent across all of the states that we do business, with the exception of Michigan. And so what that means is that our real estate agents are still out there working with their clients, supporting the business, and just helping their clients continue to try to sell or buy, to try to rent. And it's been particularly challenging, of course, because we want to keep everyone safe. We want to ensure that all of our clients participate in the social distancing rules. And so we've certainly added a whole lot of additional layers to the traditional process to make sure that we keep everyone safe. Additionally, from our perspective, we're just tracking and watching the market more closely than we ever have before. We're tracking on a daily basis transactions, new listings, and new deals that have gone under contract. And what I can tell you is that we, coming into the shelter in place, were just very apprehensive and uncertain of how strong the real estate market would be under these conditions. And while certainly we've seen the market decline relative to levels of last year's new listings and new contracts, it's been actually very impressive how resilient the real estate market has been, both here in Chicago and also in our other markets. And buyers and sellers are still doing their thing. They're still trying to move and find new places and sell. So it's certainly it's going to be a challenging year
Yeah.
for all real estate companies, right? So for those who don't know, I mean, the industry is highly seasonal. So the summer months are usually when we have the majority of our revenue creation. So those will certainly be lower, but we're very thankful, and we feel very, very well positioned to sort of weather this storm, and just trying to do everything that we can to help our clients and our real estate agents make it through to the other side and come out stronger than ever.
So are people still doing in-house showings?
There are some restrictions on showings if tenants are currently living in the properties, but other than that, it's currently up to the sellers and the buyers as to what they're comfortable with. And again, we've sort of implemented several new procedures to ensure that people have agreed and understand the risks involved and are complying with the social distancing rules. But yeah, for the most part, people are still looking. People are still looking to buy, and people who need to move, whether it's for a job or for other relocation reasons, are continuing to go about the process. And so while we originally thought the market would totally grind to a halt, things are really still moving at a pretty decent pace.
Okay. And what about technology? When it comes to your customers as well as your agents and your competitive advantages, your technology, like how do all three of those things come into play, especially during COVID?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we as a company have really always been primarily focused on the technology and how we can use that to support the real estate agents and the clients throughout the transaction from end to end. And it plays a huge part. I mean, you think about all the different things that we've invested in over the years, from being able to sign documents remotely to, nowadays we're getting more into virtual tours. We have several, partnerships with companies that do things like helping with communication between our agents and other agents in the industry. So there's just so much going on right now that's really coming to fruition in terms of those investments and the time that we've invested. A lot of people probably don't know about, if I had to guess, I'd say about 80% of the technology that our real estate agents use is developed in-house by our own in-house software development team. So it's a huge part of our investment strategy. And, like in all times, I think that the companies that are really consumer focused and focus on the customer experience will come out on top. And the technology is exactly where the customers and consumers want to be right now. It's, interacting with things on their phone, having the opportunity to participate in something virtually today. It is just so critical to the process. And so it's very important to us, and it's continued to play a big role in the success of the company over the years, and especially today as we go through this.
Okay. And I ask everyone this, and from a CFO's perspective, especially with your role at, what's the advice that you have for other finance leaders or other business leaders in the industry during COVID?
Yeah. So, and I think this also came up. I don't know if it was the conversation with Dan, one of the conversations, probably all. Cash is king right now. So from a finance and accounting perspective, of course, a lot of my team's time is currently dedicated to just understanding the financial impacts that the crisis is going to have. Thankfully, it was refreshing to see Congress move very quickly to enact the fiscal stimulus to support small businesses. I know there's been a lot of some negative press and some unintended consequences, but it's at least comforting to see that we're trying to take some steps and take action there to support small businesses. And so I think for all finance execs, for companies big and small, just making sure that they're staying on top of the stimulus opportunities and taking advantage of the things like the Social Security, payroll tax deferrals and things of that nature. So there's a lot of resources out there. We've leaned heavily on our legal counsel and our CPAs thus far to make sure that we're taking advantage of all the different potential benefits that are available to us and to all of our companies.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for your time, man. I really appreciate it. I know you're still working 12 hours a day, and you finally got a new webcam, so that's great.
Yeah.
But no, I really appreciate it, and I'll look forward to talking to you the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I just want to say thanks. I know, many of us in the finance community know you, Benny, and just thanks for all the effort that you've been putting into keeping the finance community here in Chicago just connected through this time that's been really tough for us. So I know we're all looking forward to getting on the other side of this and meeting up in person. But while we go through this, it's been great to see you and all these conversations that you've had. It's definitely helped us all kind of, I think, stay a little bit more positive and try to make the best of the situation. So thanks, man.
Hey, I really appreciate you saying that. Seriously.